Welcome to the Midland Co kitchen. We are going to be making a shrimp stock today. I've talked about it a lot. It's a great way to use the extra shells and the heads from all your other recipes that you're making with our shrimp. Typically, like I have a couple bags of shells in the freezer just for this purpose. But today I had some leftover from deshelling the shrimp that I'm going to be cooking with today. It can be used in a variety of things, like making a really rich and creamy shrimp bisque, or like jambalaya is another way to use stock. But today we're actually going to use it for poaching shrimp for the perfect shrimp cocktail. It's a little bit of experiment. I've never poached shrimp with shrimp stock, and there's some other things I'm going to be trying out today too. So we'll have to figure it out as we go along and see what we think at the end. I'm just going to take my shells and I'm going to put them in a pot, and we're going to just get them all crispy, and then we're going to add in water and white wine and vegetables, and it's just going to simmer there for 20 minutes. So I got all my stuff prepped, and we can start with getting those shells in that stock. I've got my pot that we're going to use the stock in, and I'm just going to go ahead and put these shells in. And these are going to cook for like a couple of minutes, and they're going to get all pink, and there's going to be some bits that stick to the bottom, and that's exactly what we want. I'm just going to go ahead and throw some peppercorns in here too to crisp up along, and we'll just get that going. I didn't use any oil, I didn't use any butter, just shrimp shells cooking in the pot. So we'll let that sit for a little bit and get it going. Starting to stick to the bottom, you can see that kind of browning. That's what we want. This is called a fond. So I would say we got lots of good brown bits up. It's even starting to smoke here. We're gonna deglaze the pan. So this is 4 cups of water. We're gonna just like stir and scrape that bottom to get all that fond off. You can see the water already cloudy with it. That's exactly what we want. And I have a cheap white wine that I keep in my fridge for this purpose. So I'm just gonna huck some of that in. I use about like 1/4 of a bottle. If you have shells around and you have like, some old carrots or celery ends, like it's the perfect for like scraps, like that onion that's starting to turn a little bit. Then we got some bay leaves, I got lemons, and I'm just gonna go ahead and squeeze that and put that lemon carcass in there and get a second one. And then we are going to stir this up, and we're gonna get it to a boil, so that'll take a minute to do. And once it gets to a boil, we'll cover it and put it to a simmer. This looks like it's ready. If you can look in there, it is at a boil. I'm just going to give this a quick stir to settle everything in. And now we're going to lower this to just a really low rolling simmer. So bring that heat down where it's just barely simmering. And then we're going to partially cover it so there's just a little bit steam that can escape. And you're going to want to have this simmering for 20 minutes to an hour. It's been about 20 minutes. I'm just doing a shorter one today, and it looks like it's ready to strain. So I'm going to turn that heat off, and then I'm going to bring it over to strain it. This is the finished shrimp stock. We're going to use all of it today with our poaching, but typically I would make like a really big batch, and I would freeze a lot of it for future recipes. The next way that we're going to cook the shrimp is frying it. I'm going to do 2 different frying methods. One is breaded and one is battered. I'm going to add a little twist to the breaded, which we're going to do first, and I'm actually going to butterfly them, which means that they're going to pick up more surface area for like that extra crunch with the breading. So how we butterfly shrimp, so this is the deshelled shrimp, you're going to want to go with a paring knife, and you're going to cut it along the whole back. So, and then like if you want to devein, you can just like scoop that out as well and just set that to the side. So the idea is that you don't cut it all the way through, only partially through, so it stays intact, and then it just has like a larger area that you have for the shrimp. So I'll do it again. So I'm just cutting it all the way down and through, taking out that vein that's there and setting it aside. So now we got our shrimp butterflied. We're going to dredge it. And so we're going to do a single egg first, and then I'm just going to add just like a little bit of buttermilk, just like a tablespoon worth. We're going to whisk that up. That's pretty well incorporated. So then we're going to do the breading. I only have a little bit of shrimp that I'm cooking today. So it depends on how much you're making, but right now I'm only going to do half a cup or so of breadcrumbs. You can do panko or regular breadcrumbs. And then I'm going to do like half a cup of flour as well. Put that in there. And I'm going to do a little bit of salt. Just 2 good pinches. Mix that up. And then we're going to bread the shrimp. So I just like to dunk all the shrimp in the egg mixture. I'm going to take a fork for this. Get it all nice and coated. And I'm going to one by one put the shrimp in. So now they're all coated. I just like to toss them a little bit more. Really get that breading on there. And then they're ready to fry. So we have our frying oil. It needs to get to 350 degrees, which it is. And we're going to place each shrimp in individually. They're going to cook for just like a couple minutes until they're browned. So we'll just monitor these, and when they're browned, I'm going to scoop them out and put them on my wired rack. I think it's time for them to come out. I'm just going to turn off that heat and then scoop them out, put them on that wired rack. And we're going to salt them right away. I think the salt clings to them a lot better when they are warm and toasty. Now we're going to make the remoulade sauce to dip the fried shrimp in. It's just like a classic Cajun seafood sauce. I've never made it, and so I'm really excited to do it today. It's super simple. We just have a bunch of ingredients, so it's ingredient heavy, but you just stir them all together. You don't have to do anything but that. So we got mayonnaise, mustard, horseradish, Worcestershire, Tabasco, capers, paprika, red pepper, garlic, and salt. So it calls for 2/3 a cup of mayo as the base. That looks about right. So we'll get that up in there. And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of scallion greens, which I already have chopped up. And a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Got that tablespoon of mustard. And then we have a teaspoon of horseradish. And then we got a teaspoon of Worcestershire. I think everybody pronounces that different. And then we have half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then we have half a teaspoon of paprika. And we've got 1/8 a teaspoon of salt, so just a very teeny amount. And I forgot the Tabasco, so we're gonna throw that in. So it's a teaspoon of Tabasco. So that one you might want to do to taste because everybody has a little bit of heat preference. And that is ready to go. We got our breaded butterflied fried shrimp along with the classic remoulade sauce. You're going to want to serve these hot right away and when they're still crispy. And dip them in. That's like restaurant good. Like it's like something that you would definitely get. Excuse me, my mouth is full. You would definitely order this at like a classic seafood restaurant. I grew up eating this type of food, just any fried seafood, and the sauce is definitely an amazing pairing to go with it. It's like very flavorful, but it's not overpowering, and so the shrimp really still comes through. And even the breading, it's not like the super heavy breading. So like it, I don't know, the shrimp flavor just really comes through on it. Like that's one thing that I'm always afraid of when it comes to like fried shrimp or anything that like is heavy breading, is like, is the shrimp going to come through? And in this, it definitely does. This is a really good flavor combination. So next we're doing a battered fried shrimp, which is totally different. The other one was this crispy breaded fried shrimp. This is a liquid batter that we're going to be dredging our shrimp in. So I'm doing it really simple today. Like I'm doing flour and cornmeal and buttermilk and an egg, and that is it. But there's a bunch of different ways to do this, so you can look up different recipes. Like if you're going for like a more Creole, like you can put Creole seasoning in it. You don't have to use cornmeal if you don't want to. You can just use flour. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can make a battered shrimp in different recipes. But I'm keeping it simple because I'm going to be pairing it with a very like zesty Asian fusion mayo sweet and salty sauce. So I kind of want the batter to just be a little bit quieter. We're going to whisk the egg first. And then we're going to add our dry ingredients. Half a cup of flour, half a cup of cornmeal, and then I have buttermilk here, pre-poured. That's about a half a cup of this as well. And you want a wet consistency, something that will stick to the shrimp. This is looking pretty good. It's like a wet batter. Like that's what we're looking for. So I have our shrimp. I'm just going to dump these guys in. You don't need to put them in individually like you did with the breading. And I'm going to stir them up. Definitely more batter than we needed, but that's fine. So they're nice and covered and incorporated. And leave them in there until they're ready to fry. So our oil is heated. This one's a little bit hotter at 375 instead of 350. And I'm going to take each individual shrimp, and you have to like shake off the excess batter and then dump them in. So it takes a little bit of finesse to try to keep it moving. Whoop. Otherwise, they'll be way too breaded and kind of like gummy. So a little messy. I think just frying in general is just a super messy process no matter what. My mom never fried anything because she hated doing it. So it's definitely like one of those things that's for like special occasions. We got to monitor these. Some are going to get done before others just because how it takes long, but you can see that they're golden. So these are interesting. I've actually never batter fried shrimp before. They're like very hard, but I'm sure that's like the super crispy light outside. So I'm excited to try these. So again, with these guys, you're gonna want to salt them right as soon as they come out and they're piping hot. Just a little coating. So I personally thought like an Asian sauce would go nicely with the battered. I will say with the fried, like the breaded, like if you did like a coconut breading, like a shredded coconut breading, like a coconut shrimp, it would also be really good with the Asian. So the breaded one also goes well with this. But so it's only three ingredients. It's really easy. There's mayo, sweet chili sauce, and sriracha. And so I'm just going to do equal parts mayo and then the sweet chili. So this is about like a third of a cup. We only have a little bit of shrimp, so then a third of a cup of the sweet chili, a quarter cup of sriracha. This again you can do to taste depending on your spice tolerance. I'm gonna get that all stirred up. So we got our battered fried shrimp, our sriracha, spicy mayo, sweet and spicy mayo, and then I'm just gonna throw some of these. I had some of these laying around. I thought that'd be really yummy with it. Kind of pick those up, and we're just gonna go for it. That's delicious. I feel like I said that about every recipe, but it's true. The breading is like really thin. I wasn't expecting it to be that thin. This is my first time ever doing this as well. It's been a learning day for me. And it's like not as crispy as I thought. It's actually fairly soft still. I'm not sure if I was supposed to fry it more, but it's like delicious. It almost reminds me of like a crab ragoon. And you know how it's like crispy but still soft? That's what it's comparable to. So I actually really like it for this. But maybe if you were like the shrimp is done. So it's the shrimp is definitely cooked through, but if you're like wanting it like to be super super crispy, maybe leave it just a teeny bit longer, but I would be hesitant to do that. So it's just depending on your preference, but yeah, this is really tasty. Thanks for watching. This recipe is going to be sauteing the shrimp. Um, we're going to do it in a pan and then we're going to remove them from the heat and then we're going to make the sauce and we'll add them back in. And this is a really quick and easy recipe for a weeknight and has a lot of flexibility. I just got my pasta going, and in the time that the pasta is cooking, we're pretty much going to be done with this. You can incorporate different ingredients and go along with it. Like, for example, like the recipe calls for white wine, but I'm out of that, so I'm just going to use some dry vermouth. I was also supposed to have cherry tomatoes, but instead I used actual like tomato. So it's just nice. You can play around with it. It's really flexible. The first step is to saute the shrimp. You can do this with olive oil or butter, and I'm going to be doing olive oil today. So we'll get that pan heated up. That was just like a tablespoon or so. So I'm going to go ahead and add the shrimp to the pan. Make sure to spread them around so they evenly coat it and have some room. You don't want to overcrowd them. And this will only take like a couple minutes to cook. First, we're going to wait until they're cooked about halfway up. We'll flip them, and then when they're white and pink and a C shape, that means that they're done. These are ready to flip. You can see that they are halfway done, so I'm just going to go through and flip these guys really quick. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to these guys, just a little seasoning while they're finishing up. And I have a clean bowl, and like a lot of these look done, so I'm just gonna move these guys in really quick. That one's not quite done. All right, so now we got all these like really nice brown bits going on in there. So we're gonna go ahead and deglaze the pan. I'm gonna lower the heat a little bit too. So again, dry vermouth. So that was about a quarter cup of dry vermouth. I'm going to deglaze the pan by scraping up all of these bits. And I'm adding the stock, and we're just gonna put like everything in here. So these are my tomatoes. Then we got our sun-dried tomato paste. And then we got our chili paste, except I'm using chili flakes today. Again, like you can just use whatever. And this is to your heat preference. Like that's a lot, but that's because we like a lot of heat. And we're going to go ahead and stir this all together. We're going to let that sit and simmer and thicken up for a little bit. So I would say our sauce is about thickened up. Like, you know, you can move it and it slowly creeps in. It's not super liquidy, but it's still enough where it's going to coat it. So I'm going to turn the heat way down, and I'm going to add the shrimp back in, incorporate that all together. And then we're going to add the pasta, which I already drained and is ready to go. So we'll add this pasta in here. We're going to toss to coat. So we got it all tossed. So I realized that I forgot to add salt and pepper, so we're just going to add that right now. No time like the present. I'll toss this really quick too, just to incorporate that all in. I'm going to dress it up right here in the pan. So I got some fresh grated Parmesan. If you're in a rush, you can do the pre-grated stuff from the store. I'm doing it pretty generous. I'm just going to add the rest of that in there. And I am doing a cheater pre-chopped basil. It's this stuff that comes pre-chopped, and you can keep in your fridge. It's a great hack for weeknight meals. But if you want to do fresh, that also works too. We have our sauteed shrimp with pasta, and we can give it a little taste to see how it turned out. Mm. It's really good. It's a little mild, but it's like kind of subtle. But this is like something that I feel like is a good middle ground for like kids and adults. Like it is kind of the perfect balance between just spicy and flavor and you know, just like a shrimpy pasta. So like I think that this is a really good weeknight meal option. It's delicious.